Israeli military officials confirmed today they shot down a Hezbollah missile fired at Tel Aviv. Now, this marks the first time the Iranian-backed terrorist group has fired a missile this deep into Israel. The missile was reportedly directed at the headquarters of Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency. The Israeli military has now called up 2 brigades of reservists to send them to the northern border. Reports also indicate that thousands of militia fighters and mercenaries from 3 Arab countries are amassing near the Golan Heights in Syria. Is a ground offensive next? Joining me now from Jerusalem with an update on the latest is Chris Mitchell, Middle East Bureau Chief for CBN News. Chris, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Great to be with you, Tony.
So Israel has continued attacks throughout the day, with the military saying it has struck about 280 sites in Lebanon by mid-afternoon. Tell us the latest now that it's evening there in Israel.
Well, Tony, I think in the last 3 days or so, there's been actually 2,000 strikes in all throughout southern Lebanon, as well as the Bekaa Valley. I think maybe the most telling thing that's happened in the past few hours is a statement by the IDF Chief of Staff, Herzi Halevi, and he said, I'll read just some of that to you. He said, we'll continue. We won't stop. We'll keep striking and hitting them everywhere. To achieve this, we are preparing the process of a maneuver, which means your military boots, and he's talking to IDF soldiers, your maneuvering boots will enter enemy territory, enter villages that Hezbollah has prepared as large military outposts with underground structure staging points. So it really seems like they're preparing everything they can. As you said, reservists have been called up. So it looks like the IDF is preparing for what may be a ground invasion into southern Lebanon.
Well, the actions that we've seen over the last week would suggest that they're preparing for such an effort, having targeted command and control, the taking out most of the leadership of Hezbollah. I would think that they're not going to fight to a standstill and just come back home, but they want to eliminate this threat on the northern border.
Exactly. And the goal right now of the government, and that was reiterated by Prime Minister Netanyahu just in the last few hours, was that they are not going to stop until the residents of the north, maybe 60,000 or more, can go back to their homes. Now, have left since October 8th, when Hezbollah had began the firing of the rockets, over 9,000 by last count. So that seems like if that goal, if they want to achieve that goal, it seems like they're going to have to go in and have those boots on the ground. And as you said, they've really prepared the ground, the command and control. Most of the leadership of Hezbollah has been defeated. You add to that the pages and the beepers, where literally thousands of Hezbollah operators have been disabled, some blinded, some without fingers, some have died in that attack. And then the lack of communication between many of the Hezbollah because of their beepers. And then if you add in the last several days, they've eliminated tens of thousands of the rockets that Hezbollah has been stockpiling for the last 20 years. And you know that the last 20 years, Israel has been targeting and preparing those targets for Hezbollah. And it seems like they have incredible intelligence of where these missiles and rockets are.
Last night's attempted counterattack by Hezbollah targeting Tel Aviv, the Tel Aviv suburbs. How is that interpreted? I mean, that's the first time we've seen something that deep into Israel. Was that, a throwing deep, trying to do something? Is it showing that they're going to launch even greater attacks? Well, how's that being interpreted?
I think I would interpret it as throwing deep. Going down as far as Tel Aviv was maybe a week or two ago a red line, and that would have been provoked a war. But I think the way that Hezbollah has been degraded so dramatically in the past 2 weeks, I think it was just throwing something long. They could at least give a shot at the Mossad headquarters in Tel Aviv. But I don't think Israel saw it as a red line. I think they saw it really as just sort of more of a desperation. They still are able to fire, maybe a couple of hundred rockets per day, but most of them have been intercepted by the Iron Dome.
Now, the United Nations General Assembly is meeting in New York this week. The Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, is expected to travel to New York on Thursday, tomorrow, to be there. What do you anticipate his message being to the world?
I think his message is going to be Israel has a right to defend itself. And he's going to lay out the case that Hezbollah started this war on October 8th in support of Hamas and the Gaza Strip. They fired nearly 9,000 rockets. 60,000 of their and more of their citizens are no longer at home, no longer living their daily lives, no longer in their businesses. What other country would would endure that without going and on the offensive to try to eliminate that threat? So I think that's going to be part of his advice, not advice, but his agenda, setting forth what Israel needs to do, just like any other nation would do.
All right, Chris Mitchell, that balcony you're standing on looks very familiar. I think I've been there before.
You have indeed.
All right. Thanks so much for staying up and joining us tonight. Always great to get a report from you, and we'll continue to pray for all of our friends in Israel and throughout the Middle East.
Thanks, Tony.